Welcome to the GoAnimate Yourself, Getting Started with GoAnimate webinar. Today's topic is the web-based video tool GoAnimate. Hi Sharon, thanks for joining us today. So um, my name is Tom Pantazes, and I am an instructional designer here with the Office of Distance Education at Westchester University. This is an example of the character creator tool that you can find on the GoAnimate tool. You can see I made myself, and since both Lindsay and Sharon have seen me, I'd be curious if you throw something in the chat there. How well did I do at making a character version of myself? While you're also in the chat, I want to ask a quick question, and that is, why is video a good instructional tool to use in distance education courses? If you could just quickly put something in the chat about why you think video is good for distance education courses. Lindsay says more engaging. I would tend to agree with that. Sharon, if you get a chance, you can throw up a thought that you have there as I continue on. So I think it's important before you pick a tool that you make sure you can justify that tool choice, that you're saying, that you've been able to say, you know, I think video is the right way to present this material, and making sure that you've identified the value proposition for that choice. And one of the ways that you can do that is using a framework like TPAC, which I have up here. And this is my quick pitch to come check out, and my recap presentation, which will be on this topic. So one reason that I think video is really excellent is because it helps address universal design and learning, which means that you're making content accessible for all students. And one of the reasons I like video a lot is because it presents information in multiple formats, multiple means of representation. You have an audio component, you have a visual component, and if you've included closed captioning, which is one of our best practices, you've also included a text component. In addition, students have the opportunity to rewind it or move forward and kind of engage with that material at their own pace, whereas if they were interacting with you in the classroom, that's a little bit harder to do. So with that said, as a justification for video, we're going to spend the rest of the time today exploring the GoAnimate cartoon video creation tool that we make available to faculty here at Westchester. I do want to point out too that this is a tool that if in the right settings you can have students use, but if you're interested in using this tool for students or for yourself, it's really important that you contact your assigned instructional designer. And there's our cartoon creation of our office through this tool. So whether it's Mark, myself, or Lindsay, please make sure that you do contact us if you're interested in using this tool, and we will get you set up with the right configuration. This is a screenshot from the farewell video we did for the president recently. That video clip that we did for his farewell, we did using the GoAnimate tool. So at this point, I'm going to stop talking and showing slides, and we're going to move over to a screen share where I will show my screen and we'll get into the tool. So when you first log into the tool, you're going to come to a home screen, and it may look a little bit different than the one I have up here just because I have slightly different permissions. But the key thing you're going to look for is the Make a Video button. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And as you can see here, GoAnimate has a lot of different theme ideas from which you can work. Business, comedy, little people, talking pictures, the White House, space, pirates, lots of different stick figures. So you have some different choices from which to work. And depending on the theme choice that you make, there are 3 options that you can work from. One is the video maker, which is right here. The other is template, which I'm going to show you first. And then for some of these themes, you have the option to create characters as well, your own characters, like the ones I've showed you so far today. So I'm going to get started with the template option and just show you a couple features in there. I recommend the template option if you are looking to kind of get your first introduction, get comfortable with this tool. It's going to reduce the number of things you have to worry about down to just the bare minimums, which you can see here on the screen. You pick a template, you pick some characters, you put in your script, and you let the system take care of doing the rest of your video creation for you. So just to demonstrate that, it's asking you, okay, pick a scene. Are they in the office, dating, getting a latte, coffee shop meeting, done your homework? Oh, we're teaching, so we'll stick with that one. And then you move on to the next step. Now I have to pick my characters. And it obviously gives you some choices. That guy looks kind of crazy. And let's see here. Ooh, well, no, I should probably not do something. All right, there we go. So you go next. And now it's asking you to incorporate your dialogue. So you would put that in here. And you do have some control over some various aspects like the emotion. How are they going to be? Maybe we'll make this person sad. And the voice, you have some voice options in terms of male, female, and some different styles to it. You can also go with some different languages here. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to do that. And so then I'm going to add another dialogue in here. And again, I'm going to switch the voice, and that looks fine. And we'll make that happy. So we'll put just one more. Let's see if it remembered the voice, so that's excellent. One other thing here too, you can put your own voice recordings in if you want to, and you can insert some additional lines of text if you need to. The little trash can is how you can make the character go away. So finally, we're at a point now where we can preview our little video. Now, the sound is not going to carry forward for you because of the way that the webinar presentation is set up. However, you'll just have to trust me that it's there. And so this. So that was it. And if I was happy with this, I could save it. I do want to point out that the professor voice, because I selected the Spanish option, it actually translated that into Spanish for me, which was pretty cool. Sorry you didn't get a chance to hear that. All right, so I'm going to return home. So again, that's the template option. It's this little icon right here, kind of a good way to get just a basic understanding of what the tool can do, maybe to make a quick video or a quick little introduction of something that you want for students. So moving into kind of a little further, there's the character creator option, which allows you to kind of customize and create your own characters for use in the video. Now, these are all different characters that I have created since I have been working with the system. There's the one that I made of me, and there's the one I made of our outgoing president, who I think today is his last day, actually. So if I wanted to make a new character, I would click this giant button up here, and now I have some different choices. Little people, really big people, medium-sized people. I'm going to stick with medium-sized person. It's going to load. And now I have a sequence of options to work through to customize the look and feel of this particular character. So in this case, it's going to be, what is he wearing? And I hope you can see here you get just kind of a different sense for all the different scenario type options you can do. Everything from tourist to professionally dressed. Spacesuit, I like that. I think we'll stick with that one. And then I move on to the pants, and again, I have lots of different options. That looks like space pants to me. I move on to the hands. I have options again. Those gloves, what are those? Are those like pincer hands? Anyway, shoes, you have lots of different options there. Different facial kind of configurations. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced a Nintendo Wii. It's kind of similar in that way. You can create your own characters. Lots of different hair choices. I wonder if there's a space helmet in here somewhere. Oh, there we go. So now I've just made my character into a spaceman. You can do different kind of mouth options, different ear options. We'll make him a kind of a punk spaceman, different eye choices. You can even play with eyebrows, noses. Um, Now with these last couple options here, these are like additions, add-ons for your character. So if I add it, um, well, in this case, it's only letting you pick one. But over here, if I were to add one of these things, I can also add another one. And down at the bottom, you can you turn them off by clicking on them and selecting the little trash can. Now, one thing I didn't cover, some options also give you the choice of changing colors, which you can see over here. So I'm messing with the color of that particular little goatee. Maybe I'll put a headset on him as well. Make him look even more kind of spaceman-y. So there I've created a spaceman character, and if I wanted to see what he might look like in some different settings, I can select that preview button that was up here, and I can go through the different potential options. So they have shopping and mobile devices. So you can kind of test out what he would look like if he wasn't. Just to give you a sense if the character you created is going to work for what you want. If I wanted to return to the editing, I could hit the modify button, and when I'm all done, I would hit this little save icon right here, and that would save him. I don't actually want to save. Well, I'll go ahead and save my little spaceman creation. Waiting for the system to catch up. And so now he's been added in the custom character queue right here. So when you make custom characters, you can actually copy them if you realized you needed to make a change. But once they're created, there is not any way that I'm aware of at the moment to actually edit them. So down here, that's why these two look very similar. We made a change in something, I don't know what, just to clean that character up a little bit. So that was the character creator, which is the third part, or the second of the three kind of choices you have. The last one and the most robust is to actually make a video. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up and get started with that. My recommendation when using this tool is to try to keep this for very short, simple videos. I don't recommend trying to do more than probably about 3 minutes worth of footage, just because the editing at that point, it can get really long and tedious to develop something that's going to be engaging. So short little snippets for little things, I think this could be a fun and engaging way of conveying information to students. Now, when you first come in to the editor, there's a couple things I want to point out. The left-hand side here are areas where you can make choices about different settings. The bottom here is the timeline that's going to show you the different scenes that you've selected and how long they're going to be displaying for. And the seconds mark is going here. And then there's also some scene setting options and buttons on the lower right over here, and then in the upper right is your save and preview commands. So coming back to the left side with the templates, the first thing you want to do with a scene is kind of pick the background for it. And I would encourage you, when you're thinking about making a video and you've selected a theme from the previous screen like we did, in this case it was business, to really click on these and explore the different options that are available to you in terms of the different scenes and ways that you might go about using it. So if I go back, that was the office one, but then, so these are kind of title slide options, and they have all sorts of different templates, and these are customizable. You can make changes to them, but I have found that they're typically a good place to start in terms of picking something that you want to work from. I mean, they have a really rich set of things, so maybe we'll pick this one to start. Now, to make a change, you would just drag it out onto the current scene and let go. And I don't know why I didn't do that. Sometimes it can be a little slow. The other thing you can do is drag it down to the bottom and let go, and now it's being really slow. That's disappointing, since you're all here to watch how it works. Let me just start over again, see if that helps us out here. Sorry for that, folks. All right, so I think I was in the concepts and I was using, might have been higher up. Anyway, we'll use this one here. I'm going to drag it down here and let go, and there you go. You saw how it added in. The scene was there. So once a scene is in place and I clicked on it down here, I do have some options for it in terms of how long I want it to run, if there's specific settings I want to change, to delete it, to make a copy of it. The other thing I can do once a scene is in place is I can actually click on the elements that make up that scene. So in this case, I want to click on the figure. And when you select an element, the menu on the left will change to display your options. And one of the first things it does is give you this choice to kind of change how the look and feel of the individual character. So maybe I want crazy heart or happy or something along those lines. And you can use a search feature here to look through those different choices. They've tried to divide things up by category. But maybe I want to use that custom character that I created. Well, I make sure that this individual is selected, and I can pick the swap asset button, which is that first one right there, or I can do it from over here when I'm on the character menu. And so I would select that, and now it's going to pull up all the different characters that they have, and one of the choices is custom. And so then I can select that crazy spaceman that I just made, and here he is. He's now in the scene. So that's kind of some of the manipulation of the characters that you could do through that. Now, if I want to go back to the previous menu, there's a back button or the X that's up here. With a character, you can also add dialogue for that character by selecting the Dialogue tab. You can record with your microphone, you can upload a previously recorded file, or you can use the text-to-speech option, which is fairly good. And you put your text in there and then generate voice. You can't hear that, but again, you can manipulate gender and language and the kind of voice choices. It does have a slight computer tinge to it, and you are limited in the number of characters that it will generate each time. So one trick, if you're using this, is to go ahead and type in your text speech, even if you're going to do your own recordings. And add the computer-generated voices temporarily, because it will adjust the scene length to match that. So it'll give you a better sense of how long each scene needs to be when you go back in and add your voices. That's one of the tricks I found to be helpful. You can also incorporate some motion text on this individual. You can have them moving on the screen. You can have them slide onto the screen. And this stuff gets a little bit more complicated. I'm not going to dive into that today, but you do have those options available to you. So that was the character aspect. And one of the things too is you can actually bring other characters onto the screen as well. So I might drag and drop a basketball player character on here too, and kind of have him hiding in the background here. So again, you can manipulate and bring other characters in. When you do have something on the screen like a character and it is selected with the green box, you can change the size, you can rotate their orientation, you can make them move. Like so in this case, that character would move off screen, or I could move him over here. I can flip the orientation using this button. And then everything on the screen has depth, so the bring forward or send backwards will put it on top of or behind something, depending on what you use there. And you can always delete them if you don't like having them in the image. These flapping things are starting to get on my nerves, so maybe I'm going to take those out by selecting them and deleting them. And maybe I just want one flapping piece of money. Moving across the screen, that flapping piece of money that I selected is what's called a prop. And these are different visual elements that you can bring into the screen, and they have a whole bunch of different versions of things. Again, this is something you might want to explore if you're thinking about using the tool. Kind of look through what they have available for you. Ooh, a jukebox. Maybe I'll put that out there. My crazy thing going on here. So that's something else for you to consider. And again, you can manipulate some of those settings. You can flip them. You can have them moving. When you have a prop selected, you also have the choice to add those motions on it again. So that's something else to consider. They do have text bubbles or text boxes that you can add. That's this icon right here that I've selected. So let me drop one of those out there and just say, hi everyone. These operate similar to what you'll find in PowerPoint. There's some quirks in terms of how it chooses to size and formatting them. You pick your font options here. They have a limited selection, and you can adjust sizes, do some manipulation of colors and spacing here. There is a way to put some hyperlinking in, and again, you can put motions on that as well. So that's the text option. Widgets are kind of like animated data interpretations that you can use. Let me see here. I'll drop that one in there. So this is a number, and I can adjust that to say, let's say 45. I can change what it counts from. So you'll see what that does in just a second when I preview this. And finally, there's sound that you can add in. It comes with music that you can drop in down on the lower track, or you can add in sound effects. And when I clicked on that, it was added down here at the very bottom. I think you can see that kind of in the music area. So that sound effect will play at the same time that this slide is doing its thing. So I think I've given you kind of enough of an overview to let you be able to navigate through adding in and interacting with elements. So at this point, I clicked on the scene settings button over here. You can see here's where you manipulate. You can manipulate how long the slide is, and you can play with the background. If you wanted to add narration to the slide as a whole, you could do that from here. So for example, if you had a slide that didn't have a character that was talking, you could add the audio to the slide component from this tool in the same way that you could have with the character. You can also put some effects on the slide as it transitions on and off. And one of the interesting things, this is where you can kind of do some zooming. So I can start zoomed in on my character's head and have it zoom out if I wanted to. It's a little bit more advanced, and I'm not going to get into that today. So I will say one of the drawbacks to this tool is the preview feature. I'm going to click on that now. As your video gets some length to it, it takes a second for the preview video to load up. So you could see there how my slide, how it started counting up. It was only about 2 seconds long because that's how long my audio narration was. But as you add more slides, the preview takes a little longer to load. And one thing I've noticed too is you don't get the full effect of what's going to occur until you preview your slide. So that adds a little bit of time to what you need to do when making this to really put together something of quality. One thing I didn't touch on, which I do want to mention, is that you can import your own media elements to these presentations, and that's this button in the upper left-hand corner here, the cloud with the arrow. When I click on that, I have the option to select different types of files. It tells you what types of files here, audio, video, and picture files that I can bring in and then incorporate into the GoAnimate presentation. One other thing I want to mention about the timeline editing down here, which I touched on briefly, but left clicking on various components brings up the menus for them. So I can play with my audio. I can pull the audio off the scene if I wanted to. I can remove things, duplicate things. I can have the system kind of give me a preview of just that component. So you can manipulate those items down here on the timeline. Do be careful with editing, especially when adding scenes. Sometimes things can get misaligned. So I encourage you to kind of have already storyboarded your scenes and get your scenes in first, and then go back to them and add the characters and the animations and the audio and all that, and kind of build that way. Definitely encourage you to have a plan before you get into this in terms of just an idea of what you want to build and how you want to use it. And this is a tool that is going to take you some time to kind of get comfortable with and to use, especially to try to produce something that's a high quality item that you would use. With that said, our instructional designers are here to help you and train you. So you're all done. You've hit the save to save your product. What's going to happen at that point is you would contact your instructional designer, and they would go ahead and get the video for you. And the way they do that is through the share export command. We have 3 ways that we can get the video for you. We can download it as an MP4 video file that we can then send you. We could load it to a YouTube channel if we had the credentials, although we probably won't do that. We could export this video to a WeVideo account. I'm probably not going to do that either. Or we can get you this embed code, which you could put directly into Desire to Learn and have that video show up and play with just a click on your online or blended courses. We do have to do that because of the way that we are using GoAnimate. So that is kind of a, I guess you could say it's a minor drawback that you have to contact your instructional designer to let them know that your video is finished and that you're ready to use it. So I'm going to pull up my presentation here. Give me 1 second. All right, so that's kind of the quick overview of GoAnimate and kind of some of the basic functionality and how to get around in the tool and use it. Thank you for being with us today. I appreciate it. My contact information is there. If you have any questions at this time, I'm going to turn microphones on for everybody, and you can also use the chat. And I'm happy to answer questions and get back into the program and show you some specifics if you have that. And while you're thinking about your questions, here is the contact information for our office, the 3 instructional designers, our support specialist, Amber, and just a reminder, we have after-hours support Monday through Thursday, 4:30 to 10 for both faculty and students, as well as from Sunday to 12 to 8 p.m. Thank you very much for being here with me today. I know your time is precious and valuable, and I appreciate that you chose to spend some of it learning about this tool. So I'm going to stop the recording, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.